Hey, this is Jodey Hogeland, Powerstore Global Evangelist with Dell Technologies. I want to take the opportunity to talk to you about some of the advantages that we have with Powerstore and QLC technology. And oh, by the way, it's not just Powerstore, but the same capabilities exist on our PowerMax platform as well. So whether we're talking about PowerMax Enterprise Storage or Powerstore Enterprise Capable Storage, the advantages of QLC and Dell Technologies primary storage has huge advantages versus the competitors in the industry. Now, when we talk specifically about Powerstore, one of the things that you kind of have to start off with to understand the framework is Powerstore is an autonomous, active environment, meaning both nodes are active, but we have this unique capability we call autonomous. Now, the autonomous capability is primarily focused on something that we created called Dynamic Node Affinity, or DNA. Now, there is another Dell Tech YouTube video focused on autonomous active and going through the benefits of that. But just real generically here, when it comes to implementing QLC technologies and the challenges of QLC, which in a lot of cases is very write life limited and very, in some cases, performance limited for other vendors. But here, Powerstore is able to autonomously use both nodes to balance performance and increase capability and scalability in the infrastructure. But when we start diving into the capabilities of Powerstore specifically, the first thing that we understand of how is it that Dell is able to get this competitive advantage with QLC. And by competitive advantage, what I mean is that there is no performance implication for QLC technology inside of Powerstore. Now, we have Powerstore T-Series, for example, the 1200T, 3200T, etc. But we also have Powerstore with QLC, which is the 3200Q, and now the 5200Q. The cool thing is with Powerstore is that whether we're dealing with TLC flash modules or QLC flash modules, there is no performance delta for us in the technologies. Now, here's some of the reasons why. First, let's talk about DRE, Dynamic Resiliency Engine. This is a patented technology that allows us to put all of the drives, all of those QLC-based drives or TLC-based drives into a single storage pool, and then we're striping the data across every single one of those devices in a very efficient, effective manner. So DRE and this patented technology allows us to balance the writes across the entirety of that storage pool and every single drive that's in that pool, meaning that for QLC, which is extremely write life limited, we don't really have the implications of overwrites inside of that environment. So DRE allows us to get very high performance because we're striping across all drives. It allows us to get nice efficiency because we're balancing across all the drives. It also allows us to do things like single drive adds and single drive scalability, as well as functions like mixing and matching drive sizes. So say, for example, in TLC platforms, we have multiple drive offerings, so we can mix those drive sizes together. And QLC, we have the 15 terabyte QLC modules, and I would stay tuned. You're going to see some impressive things in the future, and we'll be able to take that technology and drop it right in because of the benefits of DRE. So that is helping offset any of these write life challenges with QLC. Second, let's talk about writes, because the reality is that for NAND flash, QLC is about 10x less TLC NAND. Now, when it comes to Powerstore, some of the things we're doing is taking many different write blocks and we aggregate those into a single write operation. Meaning, what we just did was we minimized the touch points to the flash technology as we're laying data down through the data path onto the actual drives themselves. So with write coalescing and bundling those writes, we're again negating the overall implications of QLC write life, which is a huge advantage to our customers, and it's also giving us strong advantages when it comes to, next up, data reduction. Data reduction is all about compacting, compressing the data, deduplicating the data, which means that you're writing less data to the actual media. In this case, QLC with our 3200Q and 5200Q platforms. So when we're minimizing the data that has to be written, we're once again minimizing the touch points to the actual drives themselves. And we have industry-leading data reduction technology, which is how we stand behind our 5-to-1 data reduction guarantee for reducible data. Now, as we're compacting that data, deduplicating that data, one advantage that we have is that each of these nodes has integrated Intel QAT. That's quick assist technology. It's an Intel chip. So each of these active nodes has an additional onboard chip that's handling that compression. Now, this is critical when it comes to data reduction, compression, because compression is the heavy lift for CPU utilization. Now, one of the implications here is a lot of vendors say if you go QLC technology, they're going to have to slow those writes down because they're trying to minimize the impacts of the writes, or they don't want you writing as fast. And they don't have the full integrated capability of integrated Intel QAT, which we do. So PowerStore data reduction is always on. It cannot be turned off. Other vendors don't operate that way. In some cases, it's selectable by pool. It's selectable by volume. So you make a decision. Do I turn it on? Do I turn it off? Do I turn it on here? Do I turn it off there? Others defer to post-process variations, meaning that they're going to park the data on the device, on the drives. Then later, they're going to come back and clean it up, which now means you've just amplified the write scenarios in that environment. With PowerStore data reduction, always on, always in line, coming through the data path, no performance impact whatsoever because I have that integrated Intel QAT for every single model of PowerStore, by the way. But as that data is coming in, there is no performance implication for data reduction, meaning I can operate and run at scale and at speed without having to worry about write life implication, post-process throttling, or any of that stuff. Now, moving along, let's talk about auto health. There's a few things that comes into play here. So a lot of the proactive analysis that's happening in PowerStore, whether we're reporting up into AI Ops, which comes with all of the ISG portfolio from Dell, by the way, but here particularly PowerStore is phoning that data home into that AI Ops environment. And as we're sending that data up, there's a lot of proactive analysis that's taking place where if we determine that that drive is coming up, that QLC drive is coming up or maybe getting near its write life capability, we're going to auto replace that device under warranty. But it's not just about proactive replacement of what's going on within the environment. Another critical aspect of this is what we now in 4.2 code have labeled as auto repair, where not only can we detect theoretical potential issues that might happen on the array, we can take proactive measures to mitigate that capability or that environment on the array. So I'd encourage you to take a look. There's some nice blog posts out there talking about auto repair function. But when you look at PowerStore holistically with the auto health capabilities, whether we're phoning and doing analysis in AI Ops, whether we're looking at things on the array with things like RX definitions and auto repair functionality, the reality is this, is that we have dynamic resiliency engine, nobody else does. We have the enhanced write coalescing and write folding that a lot of players don't have. We have fully inline all the time, always on data reduction with hardware integrated hardware assist that many players don't have. And then you have the benefits of the monitoring capabilities around that infrastructure that's always guaranteed that we're getting the maximum utilization of that QLC-based drive or QLC-based platform. So what does that mean to you? In the end, is that for PowerStore, whether it's a PowerStore T model or whether it's a PowerStore Q model, we have no performance delta or difference between the two. So if you need high capacity capabilities with very high performance capabilities, then PowerStore QLC might just be for you. So I'd encourage you to take a look at the PowerStore 3200Q and 5200Q and recognize that you can get about 25% lower cost per media without any performance sacrifice at all. That is a cool capability. And just as a final note, 20% of capacity shipped in PowerStore has recently been QLC. So we are meeting enterprise capability and enterprise demand, and that is a PowerStore advantage.